There were a few loose ends and details yet to be managed, but so far, everyone was safe, and the damage Dragos had intended to inflict on the Order had been minimized. Movement stirred on the other side of Lucan as Tegan, the other warrior who'd stayed behind, returned from the latest perimeter check. Any problems? None. Tegan's face showed no emotion, only grim purpose. The two cops in the unmarked stakeout vehicle near the gates are still tranced and sleeping. After the hard memory scrub I gave them earlier today, there's a good chance they won't wake up until next week. And when they do, it'll be with one hellacious hangover. Gideon grunted. Better a mind scrub on a cup of Boston's finest than a very public bloodbath involving half the city's precincts and the feds combined. Damn straight, Lucan said, recalling the swarm of cops and reporters who had filled the estate grounds that morning. If the situation had escalated and any of those cops or federal agents had decided to come banging on the mansion door, Christ, I'm sure I don't need to tell either of you how fast or how far things would have gone south. Tegan's eyes were grave in the rising darkness. Guess we've got Chase to thank for that. Yeah, Lucan replied. He'd lived a long time, 900 years and then some. But for however long he'd walk this earth, he knew he would never forget the sight of Sterling Chase strolling out of the mansion and squarely into the aim of a lawn full of heavily armed cops and federal agents. He could have died several ways in that moment. If the adrenaline-fueled panic of any one of the armed men assembled in the yard hadn't killed him on the spot, spending longer than half an hour under the full blast of morning sunlight would have. But Chase apparently hadn't cared about any of that, as he'd allowed himself to be cuffed and led away by the human authorities. His surrender, his personal sacrifice, had bought the Order precious time. He had diverted attention from the mansion and what it concealed, giving Lucan and the others the chance to secure the subterranean compound and mobilize the evacuation of its residents once the sun set. After a string of bad calls and personal fuck-ups, most recently a failed strike against Dragos that had inadvertently landed Chase's face on the national news, he was the last of the warriors Lucan would have turned to for answers. What he had done today was nothing short of astonishing, if not suicidal. Then again, Sterling Chase had been on a self-destructive path for some time now. Maybe this was his way of nailing that coffin shut once and for all. Gideon raked a hand over the top of his spiky blonde hair and exhaled a curse. Fucking lunatic. I can't believe he actually did it. It should have been me. Lucan glanced between Tegan and Gideon, the warrior who'd been with him when he'd first founded the Order in Europe, and the one who'd helped him establish the Warriors' home base in Boston centuries later. I'm the Order's leader. If there was a sacrifice to be made to spare everyone else, I should have been the one to step up. Tegan eyed him grimly. How long do you think Chase would have been able to keep his bloodlust at bay? Whether he's in human custody or loose on the streets, his thirst owns him. He's lost, and he knows that. He knew it when he walked out that door this morning. He had nothing left to lose. Lucan grunted. And now he's sitting in police custody somewhere, surrounded by humans. He might have spared us from discovery today, but what if his thirst gets the better of him, and he ends up exposing the existence of all the breed? One moment of heroism could undo centuries of secrecy. Tegan's expression was coldly sober. I guess we'll have to trust him. Trust, Lucan said. That's a currency he's come up short on more than once lately. Unfortunately, right now, they didn't have a lot of choice in the matter. Dragos had demonstrated quite effectively just how far he was willing to take his enmity toward the Order. He had no regard for life, human or his own kind, and as of today, he'd shown that he would take their power struggle out of the shadows and into the open. It was dangerous ground with impossibly high stakes. And it was personal now. Dragos had crossed a line here.